So my name is Zoë Anne Kessler, and I am a multi-talented artist based here in New York. Currently, my big focus right now is my paintings. I'm so excited. I'm actually launching my first New York City art gallery in just a few weeks' time. So thank you. This is incredible timing. Last week, a friend who is an art dealer just invited me to one of the big contemporary art shows. It was held at the Javits Center. So art is in the air. And in a couple weeks' time, we'll be seeing my work on display in my home city for the very first time. So this is quite amazing. This is a really special collection. I'll go into it and then I'll go into a little bit more of my background and how did I get to this point. So in this collection, it's called Pieces. What I do is that I deliberately depict only part of people's faces as a means to demonstrate that in the modern world, we can never know another person fully. So it really gets you to think about that question.
Huh?
And this series is actually broken down into two parts. The first part are a series of oil paintings using what's been dubbed the impressionistic pointillism style.
Mhm.
So I'm showing very amazing, famous painters and artists and only showing part of their faces in this style. And then the second half of the collection is incredible. It's a takeoff of the first part, but expanded into a new theme where I am showing also only part of people's faces, but on a much bigger scale using acrylic paints. So the medium itself tells a very different story because oils dry so slowly, you can edit it for even a week at a time. Whereas with acrylics, you have at most minutes before it's dry. So all of this is really, really exciting. And then if that wasn't enough, the way I'm showing this gallery is so exceptional. You must come, honestly, October 18th. So I'm showing my art gallery in a one-of-a-kind experience at a mini soccer pitch.
What?
I know,
Wait, is it
I know.
indoors or outdoors?
Well, I have an indoor section and an outdoor section just to cover everything.
So there's gonna be like walls like on the pitch.
Yep. So you can play soccer while you enjoy my art. And this is a play on the fact that the way we generally absorb art at galleries and museums is nothing like the experience of owning art.
Hmm.
So when you own art, it's this subtle factor that lives on your walls if you're dealing with a painting that influences you in a variety of subconscious ways. And so then when you come to my gallery, that's what you're going to get. You're going to see this amazing art. But then I'm going to say, hey, get out there, Alex, on the soccer pitch. Like it's time to enjoy life and let art be a part of that. So it's honestly going to be super special. And how did we get to this point? So, as mentioned, I am a New York City native, so I've always been cool. And what can I say? So, I grew up right here in downtown Manhattan,
Uh,
and it's cool. I was one of those New Yorkers who said, okay, apart from college, I'm never going to leave, only spend time here. Sure enough, I went to Harvard College for undergrad, and it was an amazing experience. That's where my journey as an artist, you could say, really started. Of I had more time to invest in the arts, more clarity of thought. I was a history major, so I was challenged extremely intellectually. But on the flip side, I had time to really invest in myself as a musician and then singer-songwriter, which was an incredible breakthrough. To this day, I've written now over 40 original songs, self-composed music and lyrics. So that was really amazing. I know. I wish I could play you one of my songs right now, but can only do so many things at once.
Which instrument?
I'm first a classically trained pianist,
Uh,
and then I also play guitar
oh,
and
that's so cool.
ukulele. It's so fun. Yeah, so there I was in Harvard Yard, literally with my guitar, just singing like after class, and this started freshman year. And honestly, I got a lot of good feedback from classmates, random tourists. So, with that good feedback, because that was my first time singing. I had been in actually the rock band in high school. So that was electric guitar, which was really fun. But
Nice.
you're in the back, therefore. So it was super different. And then college was this start of me becoming more of the centerpiece of my own art. And it's been really exciting and a dynamic journey. While I have had a variety of corporate jobs, my soul just keeps saying to do art. And while I lived in Florida for some time during COVID, that's when my soul said, you have to move back to New York to study screenwriting in New York. So I came back, I studied at Columbia, and that led me to write three feature-length films. So it's just been amazing of how do we get here and so many things. But I think in line with the theme of my art gallery, we all can be so dynamic and multidimensional. And I just feel so incredibly blessed with all this opportunity to take the time for each segment of my art and to know that there's no limit to how the soul can express itself.
I like the last line.
Thank you.
Personally, I've been to New York twice in my life, and my experience of the place is like a bustling city with different kinds of art, a lot of art,
A
fascinating art.
lot. It's so
I was
true.
very astonished. So, as a New Yorker, I really want to know your experience in living there and how living in New York City has influenced your art and creative process. Yep.
I love that question. It's very thoughtful because I do think we're all influenced by our environments. So I live currently downtown, and there's a lot of neighborhoods where I would call it pretty hipster. So just thinking about that kind of area versus another neighborhood and the way people dress and how seeing people's different attire alone can influence you and your art. So I would say one thing that inspires me is really having a flavor for both the most impressive classical fine art, meaning of the visual arts, and then also the very contemporary work that you can see both in galleries and sometimes even sold on the street. So I think New York is so exceptional in having all that super rich history because without the history, the modern art, in my opinion, can sometimes lack substance. I studied history in undergrad because I think it's imperative for us to really improve as a society. We have to know where we came from and try and improve upon the mistakes of the past. So, in other places that don't necessarily take the time to examine what's come before, the present presentation of art may not be as substantial. So I think New York is really exceptional in that regard. And it's not to say that one is going to like all contemporary pieces you see, but I think the likelihood of finding something very special and moving within it is much higher here than a place that doesn't have that blend of both
Mm,
the old and the new.
yes. Would you consider contemporary art as a sort of like evolution from classical art or de-evolution?
Oh, wow. I'm currently inclined to say it's an evolution.
Okay.
I think I understand where you're coming from. There's a very interesting movie called The Square that the protagonist is a man in his 50s running a contemporary art museum in Stockholm. I highly recommend this film. It's pretty trippy, if you will, but it gets at what you're asking of is a pile of sand on the floor with a sign in front of it, is that art? I don't have the answer, but I'm become more and more impressed with a lot of the contemporary visual art I'm seeing. I think it's possible we may be seeing more of a resurgence of some traditional styles within modern painting in particular. Of what's very in vogue is what's called hyperrealism, of doing paintings that look almost like photographs. So if you compare this to all the acceleration of social media through the internet, it's the exact opposite of, I was so blessed to just meet an incredible Spanish artist who is selling his work for over $1 million a piece because every painting takes over a year to make. And what he shows is it looks like a woven blanket, but it's all made of oil paint. It's incredible. So I think as some parts of our lives become faster and more hectic, within the world of art, people are craving something slower.
So your prediction for the market of realism in the future is that it's the trend of it is going to increase more.
I think we could see that.
Yeah, a lot of big art dealers in China also predicted the same thing because they think art has been diversified to a saturation point um that no one's gonna like actually break something new from it.
I think that's clever. Yeah. I think it's always interesting to attend different auctions in New York as well, because that gives you a feel for different markets, as you're mentioning. So I attended Asian Art Week at Christie's a couple months ago, and their focus is often in jade and other kinds of pottery works. Not exclusively, but that's one thing they focus on, as opposed to then you could see a sale of just British art, for instance. So
You know those decorate paintings that we see in like hotels and markets. How do you differentiate like these kind of decorate paintings and modern art? Like where do you draw the line between them?
that's an interesting question. I think I think they fit into the same world, if you will, but I understand what you're saying because I would say I'm a pretty aesthetic person, so I'm very influenced by the things I see around me. If I'm in a particularly beautiful lobby, I really enjoy it more, or restaurant, etc. Like I feel it on a soul level if things don't look good to me. And one thing that doesn't strike me the right way is if you find even a decorated home that looks too what we would call cookie cutter, meaning anyone could, it's a home by the sea, and then you have lots of like seashells, like it, but too much in your face. So I agree with what you're saying or implying, that is the hotel art modern art, but I think there's been a push for buildings and hotels to invest in good art actually, because people understand the importance of walking in and seeing something that feels more meaningful than those cookie cutter examples I mentioned.
Do you think there are standards for a good piece of art?
Oh, do you?
Or actually, I should ask, do you think the concept between but the sorry, the concept behind a piece of art matters more than the visual effects or the opposite?
Okay, I think they both matter, but I think what matters most is the audience interpretation. So, what the artist intended can sometimes be the same as what the audience interprets, but as we know, it could often be different. I think what matters mostly is just what the audience feels. And it's interesting to see if the audience does feel what the artist perhaps intended.
If if more people see it, then obviously someone's gonna buy it. Does that mean it's a good piece of art?
I think whether art has been purchased or not, or has thus far made money, doesn't dictate its value. You look at Van Gogh died poor, so
So
that's
what
something.
dictates its value?
Uh, what dictates its value? I think what dictates its value is whether it has the ability to express something unique from the human soul, which is a very subjective kind of measure, but interestingly, I think it's something you can just feel.
The majority of modern artists, I'm talking about abstract people like Mondrian or Pollock or Cy Twombly, like, um, they might do one that's like expressive, boom, and then they'll just continue this whole style again and again. Do you think if they're still expressing what they're doing or it's just business?
Oh, that's very interesting. It could be either way. I'm not sure on that one, but yes, you bring up a good point because while they could initially be reacting to contemporary events if they make it over and over again, are they still having the same experience? That's a good question. I don't have the answer.
Okay, my last question is, how do you view the use of AI in art?
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, good questions, Alex.
I just thought of them when when we're talking.
I think I like the utility of AI for art in the sense it can be easier to bring of especially now that the systems are starting to develop image creating abilities. So I have actually used it myself. I thought it was rather efficient because what in the past you would have to make a sketch to envision what you want to see. Now you could just tell it and then have a brief image, obviously not of the same quality, but to show what you perhaps had in mind. So I like it for that. So some friends and I were discussing, okay, if AI makes something, do you have credit for it? And one friend compared it to working in a finance environment where everyone has presented on a deal. It's a long, lengthy contract, and whoever signed off on it last of like this is version 30 uh, takes responsibility for it. So if that is the case, just because you've signed off on it, it therefore is yours. So under that kind of thinking, she argued if you make something in AI, even if you use this tool, it is therefore yours. And I think there's a lot of merit to that. So I'm excited to see AI as a tool that could help propel even more art and ideally of higher quality. But if value, as we talked about, is defined by expressing something unique from the human soul, I don't think you could ever go to AI for total generation and expect to find something that is as moving as other pieces, in my opinion.
Do you think it will degrade craftsmanship?
I don't think so because a lot of art that's coming back into vogue seems to be using more and more manual labor.
Okay, okay.
Or like time spent by hand, etc.
Okay. Th those are my questions. Thank you again for your time.
Amazing.